This looks like a job for Superman.
What's up, everybody? Rez the Collector here with another Superman related review. Today we're taking a look at one of the best, in my opinion, Superman figures to ever hit the market, and that is the Justice League Classic Icons Superman. Now, I think this figure is going to be rivaled by the new Icons figures that are going to be coming out near the end of this year, and I think Superman doesn't hit until the beginning of 2016, which sucks for us as Superman collectors. But I do believe that new figure, from what we've seen, providing that prototype, is pretty much what we got, or what we will get. That Icons is going to rival this one. Now, this figure took me a very long time to get my hands on. It is one of the more expensive Superman figures out there. Extremely difficult to find either in package or loose. Now, of course, I have this in package. I actually have the entire run. There was only 4 of these released, and these were released near the end of the DC Direct run before it was switched over to DC Collectibles. And that was about the time that the New 52 started. And they changed it over to DC Collectibles, started releasing the New 52 figures. All of that happened around that same time. The first one I got was actually Lantern, because there's 4 in this series. There's Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and Lantern. First one I picked up was Lantern, and then I think Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman was the last one I was able to pick up. And of course, now this set I will always keep on card. I have been opening a lot of my stuff, as most of you know, but this set will never be opened. Now, I've been searching for him loose for a long time. And this just proves how great the community that we're all a part of is a good friend of mine had gotten his hands on quite a few of these by somebody I don't think they really realized what they had. And as a gift, he sent me one. And it was amazing. Can't tell you how awesome it was to receive it. He sent it to me in package, even though he knew I was going to open it. And I'm so extremely grateful for that. There are so many great people in this community of collecting, whether that be Superman, DC, not Marvel, Marvel, but DC, the good people, that are willing to help each other out. I've sent stuff to people. I've gotten stuff. It's amazing how each of us will go out and try to help out the others in the community. So, with that being said, we're going to take a look at the packaging a little bit, and then we're going to go to the loose figure. So, here we go. Now, as you can see, we've got Superman and Series 1 action figure. Now, of course, this being Series 1 indicates that they most likely were going to continue on with this. But then, again, with that whole switching from DC Collectibles and the New 52 coming out, it just didn't happen. I would have loved to have seen some of the other characters in this style. The one that I would be missing is, I think the first series should have been 5, and it should have included Flash. Just my opinion. But on the back here, you can see all the rest of the figures. And they are all very classic representations of each hero. The only one I would say is Wonder Woman. I've seen better face sculpts on a Wonder Woman. But, I mean, it's still classic, beautiful, beautiful figure. Now, with anything, there is slight changes between the prototypes, as you're seeing here, and what we actually got. Some of the main differences, at least in Superman, the face sculpt's a little bit different, and the black lining you see around his S, that is not prevalent. It's not really seen on the actual figure, and the S is a little bit bigger shaped. So let's go ahead and, sorry if you can hear me breathing, I'm still not completely over being sick. I'm just looking to see if there's a sculpted buy on here. Superman, Green Lantern, and Batman were sculpted by Paul Harding, and Wonder Woman was sculpted by Sam Greenwell. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this aside. and we're going to take a look at the actual figure. So here he is. Now, this is also one of the last things that DC put out that they included a stand with. And their stands had gotten... Excuse me, I'm just going to go ahead and angle this down a little bit. Their stands had gotten cheaper and cheaper, to be honest. From each figure set having a specifically designed stand for its set, be that a Superman symbol, or the JLA symbol, or New Frontier, Elseworlds, what have you, to when we got finally to this set with DC Direct, it was just a black disc. And you know what? I'm fine with that. I don't have to have an elaborate stand or one that's actually going to make stuff hard to display because it's so big. But having a stand provided with the figure, especially some figures that aren't balanced right, is such a great thing. Now, DC Collectibles, while they have not provided any stands with their figures, are now going to be putting out DC Collectibles stands. You'll have to buy them separately, but it is finally something that's going to be compatible with those new figures, the new peg size holes, and that can help to stand up maybe some of the figures with looser joints or that just aren't balanced very well. I'm going to pause this for just a moment. Thanks, guys. I'm back. I wanted to grab that in package again because I wanted to talk about something that's been discussed quite a bit lately, and that's prototype versus product. A lot of people get upset when there are pictures released of a figure that's going to be coming out and the figure isn't exactly what you end up with. Now, there are a lot of times minor tweaks, and then sometimes there are major tweaks. One I can bring up in particular is the Superman Earth 2 figure for the New 52. While the prototype wasn't great, it was still a lot better than the figure that we got. The head sculpt did not look like it did in the picture at all. The articulation changed in the way that the leg joints were. And honestly, that was a figure that I had been waiting for quite a long time, and I consider it to be a huge fail on the part of DC Collectibles. They could have taken that original prototype and done better with it, but then to change that prototype for release and give us what we got without updating their photos, and the people that pre-ordered and then got the figure without seeing this new design to it, I think that they felt a little bit cheated. I know I myself did, you know. I mean, granted, yes, you're ordering from the prototype. That's what they have to show you. But if stuff like that, like joints and things like that, are going to be changed, I think they need to update their photos to show what's actually really going to be coming, because they're going to have a production unit to show before these actually hit market. So there's been discussion like that, mostly about, I mean, sometimes about the figures, but even stuff like Sideshow Collectibles and their prototypes versus release. So I really just wanted to take a look at the differences in this figure, and then we're going to take a look at another figure in the same style. Now, this body style here is the Alex Ross body. This body's been used for a lot of different figures, and there have been some slight changes made on this model, and we're going to take a look at that in a moment. Now, I just wanted to go ahead and point out the prototype. The main difference is color and the S. Now, when you actually go ahead and put them, I thought the face sculpt was a little bit different, and it is slightly, but when you put them side to side like that with the head in the same direction, the face is pretty spot on to what it was. The main difference is the style of the S. As you can see there, that's got that black outline. The S is more stylized on the actual product than it was in the prototype. The prototype had a very straightforward S. That's like the S that you see on like a lot of like standard Superman products. Except for this should be just a little bit more curved here at the bottom. But that's like the standard, you know, perfect Superman S. And what we got was a lot more curved at the bottom. The colors weren't anywhere near as bright. It didn't have that black outline. The trunks are much more muted. The cape is more muted. The S, everything on it is a much more muted color. The boots are a little bit brighter than everything else, and I really think they should have color matched those. If they were going to do the trunks darker and everything else in a darker, then they should have color matched. But that is basically the difference between what was shown and what we got. Now, I love this figure, so I'm not displeased with this. But I did want to show you the differences they made in the body. Excuse me, I'm still, like I said, still fighting a cold, so I kind of have to stop to breathe every few minutes here. Whew. Talking a lot and at one time, so that's something I'm used to doing anymore. Alright, so here is another Alex Ross body style. Now, one thing I've noticed in all of the Alex Ross body style figures, except for this one, is that the leg joints, the leg joints in pretty much all of these, be it this one, which is from the Superman Through the Ages set, or the actual Alex Ross figures that came out, is the leg joints get really loose. Now, that's something, I don't know if they made a correction on the new ones, on these, the icons, but his leg joints aren't anywhere near as loose. And they were loose coming out of the package for pretty much every one of them. Now, I do want to say that this is a Bruckner sculpt, because the original Alex Ross bodies were, I believe, sculpted by Bruckner. So they've used this body buck in quite a few figures. Now, one of the major things they changed, though, between the figures that you're going to see here and the icons, is you take a look at the S, and let me see if I can clear that up. You can see that there is an actual indent here around the S. And you're going to see that in pretty much every Alex Ross body, except for this one. Now, what they did, and I don't know if it's going to show on camera, it actually does show a little bit. You can see where that was filled. It's really hard to see on camera, but if you've got one of these figures, you can take a look, and you can see where that line is filled all the way around on this figure, and that gave them the ability to change the size of the S a little bit. It goes out just a little bit farther, and it's a little bit bigger. So it allowed them to get rid of that constraint and change that up a little bit. Now, he does actually have a standard Alex Ross cape on here, whereas this one does not. This has a more of a standard Superman cape. But that's the major difference between the figures. Now, other than that, he does have that standard Alex Ross body style. It's just basically a repaint, but it is a great repaint, and it is an amazing figure to have in your collection. The articulation, of course, he's got ball jointed shoulders. He's got just a back and forth head, no waist or ab crunch to speak of. He's got standard hips, of course, knees. Now, these are tight, so I'm not really going to mess with these. And, of course, elbow and wrist. So not a lot in the articulation department, but amazing in the sculpt department. Come on, clear up. You can do it. So there you go, guys. That is the Superman Classic Icons figure. An amazing figure to have in your collection. If you don't have it, I highly recommend trying to track one down. Like I said, they can be a little bit expensive, but you can find a deal. And I do want to say a very big thank you to Stuart Murray, who sent this to me for my birthday. Thank you, Stuart. The only thing that was wrong with this guy, and you sent me in package, so you couldn't have known, and I took care of it right away, is his cape had come unattached here, and I just glued it back down. So I consider him to be a perfect figure. Thank you very much. Of course, I am Rez the Collector. Please rate, comment, and subscribe, and thank you for watching.